Welcome to the Shabby and Man podcast. We are partners, parents, podcasters, broadcasters,
and everything else in between. Namaskar, Adab, Sasrikal, or should we today say Jai Shri Ram?
Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram Ji ki, Ram Ram, all of that, of course.
And why are we saying this?
Because I think everyone in the world, or at least in our world, knows that the inauguration of the Sri Ram Mandir in his birthplace
is happening right now this week as you hear this podcast.
In his birthplace, Ayodhya. That's going to be the big story coming out of India all week.
Do you know where Ayodhya is?
I do.
The reason I'm asking this is because I used to go past it.
Is it one of the few cities in India that you do know where they are? Is that why you're trying to boast?
It is in Uttar Pradesh.
Of course it is in Uttar Pradesh.
Not too far from Lucknow, Kanpur, Banaras, Gorakhpur.
So did you say that you've actually visited Ayodhya?
I have. I can't remember but I have visited it. I'm having problems getting the words out of my mouth today. I have visited it in my youth. So I can't remember it. But I've done the Mathuras, the Ayodhyas, the Vaishno Devis. Those I did on my own. Yeah. But I think I've done Ayodhya, yeah.
Funny, you should mention them in plural because there's only one Mathura, there's only one Vaishno Devi, there's only one.
No. When I mention in plural, I mean the religious places, the religious destinations.
Dhams, as they're called in Hindi. The pilgrimages. I can't remember if I've ever been to Ayodhya, but I do remember that when Ayodhya was the big story, at the time of the Sri Ram Mandir Babri Masjid dispute, when the masjid was actually demolished.
Early 90s.
Early 90s. We were in Kanpur then. We were living in Kanpur. And exactly as you said, these are all in the vicinity of each other, Lucknow, Kanpur, Ayodhya. And it was a big story, and there was a lot of unrest and religious unrest in Uttar Pradesh, and we were at the heart of the action, as it were.
I don't think it's ever gone away because
it hasn't.
For forever and ever, there's going to be fractions who say that this was a Muslim shrine, this was a Hindu shrine. It's going to go on and on.
Yeah, that's true. And because this is a very big deal for Hindus around the world, it is being celebrated in a big way in temples up and down the country, of course in India, but also all around the universe. And it is a big thing. And we don't want to get into the political connotations here, nor the religious connotations, but just saying that anyone who's anyone, whether you're a politician or a superstar or
all the Bollywood stars,
the Bollywood set, everybody is.
Even in London, all the local mandirs are saying, come round this week and you'll get some chawal from Ayodhya,
which has been blessed and sanctified in Ayodhya. Yes, that's what I said, that all around the world. In fact, the temples up and down, certain temples up and down the UK have been gearing up for the big day, as it were. All through the weekend they were doing special puja and aarti and all of that. So it's a big deal. It's a big story coming out of India. It has many connotations.
Though this new mandir does look spectacular.
It does look spectacular. I think it looks more beautiful and more grand than I'm sure, but along the same lines as the Swaminarayan temple in Easton, which is marble and
the London one.
Yeah, which is beautiful carving, and it is beautiful.
Of course, it must be much more intricate.
Yeah. They're saying, interesting fact, I don't know if you know this, but the bricks that they have used to construct the temple, I don't know whether all of them or just some of them have Jai Shri Ram written on them in all Indian languages. And they have actually been collected from the various states. So
and how many languages would that be?
I don't know how many ever India has, 27, 37, 58, 94, something like that. But they are in all Indian languages. And there's something from every state to also kind of represent the entire country, Hindus all over the country and all of that. So there's that happening. Besides Ayodhya being the big story, like we said, celebrities all over India are going to have their Ayodhya moment. And you were telling me how, I don't know if you saw, did you miss the Ramayana years on Doordarshan?
I did. I missed that because I was back in England at the time. But I know that was a massive. The Ramayana, Mahabharat.
Yeah.
In the 80s?
In the 80s, because that's when literally there would be nobody on the streets because everyone was, and I was growing up.
I think they've really shown it quite a few times.
They have. And not just that, the principal cast from that Ramayana, Arun Govil, Deepika Chikliya, the actor.
Arun Govil, even I know his name.
Yeah, the actor who played Lakshman.
Iconic, was he?
So Ram, Lakshman and Sita are now in character in Ayodhya right now. So they've obviously been invited back, and it is a big deal. On the back of that, so like we said.
One more thing I want to say, that there are some people who are a bit peeved because it has become a bit political.
It is a bit?
Yeah, it feels like the ruling party is
orchestrated this in the year of India's elections, which is what is raising a roll of eyebrows. That it has been masterminded in a way that perhaps could lead to a certain political result. But let's not get political. We should get political, actually, considering you always remind me, you have a master's in political science, but you never talk about politics. While we are mentioning sensitive topics and politics, let's talk about the play that we saw a few days ago, which was set, nothing to do with India or Hinduism or politics, but it was set in Iraq,
set in
the 30s, 40s.
The 1940s Baghdad. And then it went into the 70s.
Yeah.
And it was, could say it was quite relevant for what's happening in the world right now as well.
Yes.
It was a Arabic Jewish family who were on the run.
Persecuted, right?
From the Nazis.
Yeah.
So it was quite symbolic, I thought.
Yeah.
A very timely play.
Very timely play. It was called The Mother of Kamal.
What I liked about the fact was that it was just around the corner from us, and it was on top of a pub, which we used to frequent once.
So very handy.
So it was very handy.
Yeah.
To get home.
And also the fact that we were only too grateful for the interval, which allowed us to nip down and have a few drinks. That was very good. But speaking very briefly about the play, timely, yes, it was about the persecution of one side against the other. But towards the end, what did you make of it? I mean, was it about three different members of the same family interpreting an incident, a life-changing incident, in three different ways? That's how it was, right?
Basically, they all three had their own
reasons for doing what they did.
Yes.
So it is a story of a mother and her two sons, and without giving any spoilers, not that you're likely to watch it because it is on a very limited run in our neck of the woods. But it's a very interesting story. A mother who is forced to save one of her two sons who were put in prison because of being anti-establishment, and as you said, the Jews were being persecuted then, right? And she chooses to save one, and then it's about whether she saved one, which is an impossible task for a mother to do, or whether one brother actually confessed so that the other could get his freedom.
You're just confusing everyone now. This can't be explained in a podcast. You have to watch it.
No, I know, but what I'm trying to say is that the premise is interesting. I don't think it was the best play I've ever seen, but I think the premise is quite interesting, that how three different people from the same family could have three completely different versions of that one incident which happened.
True. What I really liked about the play was that it was so intimate that when they talked, they were
looking into your eyes.
They were looking into your eyes.
You know what it's called? There's another word for it. It starts with an I.
I know what it is. Immersive.
It is an immersive experience.
Yeah. But what I found even more interesting was that the cast was very small. There were about 3-4 people.
Yeah.
So the amount of roles they played.
The dad ended up playing.
Yeah. It was incredible.
Yeah. But it was quite good. It was interesting. Yeah. And speaking of immersive plays, I remember watching another similar one in the West End, which was set between the two world wars in rural France, and that was amazing. That took it a step further. So not only did you have only 3 or 4 characters, you were sitting amongst them. Suddenly somebody from, 5 seats to the right would get up and start reciting lines and join the cast on stage, which is meant to kind of...
In this play alone,
be shocking.
The lady who was sitting in front of us, we were in the second row. Yeah. The lady who was sitting in the first row was so intimidated because she felt like they were all staring at her.
Yeah.
After the interval, she moved seats.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Either that or she really wanted a place to put her drink. But there you go. It was an interesting experience, I thought. Moving from theatre to movies, we've had quite a few interesting releases. Not that we've seen anything yet. Early days still. But Merry Christmas is a film that everyone's talking about.
The big one is coming out end of this week, Fighter.
Yeah. Let's talk about...
Is Fighter, from my limited knowledge... Is it Maverick Top Gun?
It isn't. Because people who've seen the trailer, they know exactly what it is. It is a very, very tried and tested Bollywood formula. Playing it safe because it releases a day before Republic Day, when normally the Bollywood audience is baying for something which is very patriotic. India-Pakistan, that's what it is. It was the Pulwama attacks, again, based on real incidents. That's what it is. Which is why everybody's kind of, yawning a little bit, saying we've seen so many versions of this.
We'll get back to the movies, but talking about India-Pakistan, what about Sania Mirza and Shoaib Akhtar?
True. that story is exploding all over social media right now as we speak.
For anyone who doesn't know, Sania Mirza played tennis for India, and Shoaib Akhtar played cricket for Pakistan. And they
not just played, she's one of our best tennis stars, and he was a cricket captain, former Pakistan captain. I've been reading up. So
that's what I mean. That she represented India, he represented Pakistan.
I'm saying that also the insane amount of interest is also because there are two people who are at the top of their game. They're phenomenally famous in their professions, but he's married for the third time, and so there's a lot of thing about has he divorced? Yes, he has. When did that happen? But I think the press by and large in India is being very kind to her, saying that she has kept her private life private, and divorce, marriage, this is all a very private matter, and they should be given their privacy at this time to kind of sort things out. Not that there's no sorting to be done. She is already divorced and he is already happily married to his third wife.
That's just this week.
Yeah. So this is a big story, yes. But coming back to India-Pakistan in a Bollywood context, fighter looks very predictable.
You had a chat with Vishal Shekhar, didn't you?
I had a chat with Vishal Shekhar. They were gigging in London, and they've done the music for Fighter. And they always sound like a, interesting bunch of guys.
I first got to hear them when they sang Bluff Master, remember?
Yeah. BLU and a double F master.
I think Abhishek Bachchan rapped on it or something.
Yeah, the hip hop fakers, Vishal and Shekhar. We remember that. Why are you saying that? You first heard of, I don't know if it was you who told me or somebody else, but Vishal Dadlani was part of Pentagram.
He was a part of, I knew him from the rock band. Yes.
Pentagram.
Yeah.
So
I meant them as a Hindi...
As music composers for Bollywood. Yeah, and they've done fairly well. And
by the way, Pentagram was a rock group in India.
Yeah, they've done fairly well, and I asked them what the secret was, secret of their partnership might be, that they've gone on for so long, and they said that it's because we're such good friends. And he says, even though we may not say hi to each other at the airport, if one needs the other in the middle of the night, we're always there for each other. And music is what brought us together. And they, you can see that they do all the fun tunes, Das Bahane and all the ones from Tiger, Swag Se Swagat. They've got some big films to their credit. Vishal Dadlani again is a serial tweeter, and what do you call tweeters now? Xer?
Yeah, I still say Twitter.
And he gets into a lot of trouble very often because he does not mince his words, which is the kind of person I like. If you believe in something firmly, strongly.
Isn't he a judge on some reality show?
He is on Indian Idol, I think. So that was fun. And they kind of bigged up the film, of course, saying that it's all crash, bang, boom, everything that you would expect from Siddharth Anand. But let's see.
No, Siddharth Anand has got a track record in these things.
True.
War, what was the other one he did?
Bang Bang. And Pathan.
Pathan, thank you.
Yeah. Let's rewind back to a few weeks ago, 12th of Jan to be precise, or 13th, when Merry Christmas came out. So this sounds like this is again
Katrina Kaif,
Vijay Sethupathi, and
I've mixed reviews. I've heard
mixed reviews, yeah, because a lot of people are saying that
they're saying it's very slow.
It's a bit too avant-garde for Bollywood. It is French noir. It is inspired by a Frederick Dard novel.
So that doesn't make it French noir. It's Bollywood noir.
It's Bollywood noir, but it's inspired by a French noir film, which was in turn based on a book. And they're saying that it's one of those things where you have to endure the first 1.5 hours for the last brilliant 30 minutes to make sense. And it sounds like the kind of film that you might enjoy because you watch so many thrillers and crime thrillers and psychological thrillers and all of that. But you're right, it's got mixed reviews, and people are saying that the one man who's really shone is Vijay Sethupathi. And they're saying that so far Bollywood pigeonholed him into playing the baddie in Jawan, in giving him those kind of dark characters.
Oh, that reminds me, I heard your show last week where you suddenly said, I can't believe he's 46 or something.
Yeah.
He looks much older.
He does.
That's not a very nice thing to say.
It isn't, but it's true. He looks much older. But he's only 46. What I was surprised to find was the fact that he has no less than 50 films to his name. We might be completely new to his craft, to his filmography. But he's done more than 50 films and a very impressive, eclectic mix of genres. So he's done comedy. He's not just the guy who plays the moody, broody, sulking baddie. He's done comedy, he's played a transgender woman, he's played the baddie, he's played the lead actor, he's played the romantic hero. So I'm very impressed, and this just goes to show how little we know about actors who haven't been on our radar. But I think post Merry Christmas, everybody's saying that Vijay Sethupathi is in Bollywood to stay, because more and more people want to work with him now. Anything else you've seen or read that has caught your fancy, caught your interest?
Well, everyone was talking about in in Britain.
Yeah. Are we still in Britain?
Everyone was in this country. People were talking about the Alan Bates versus the post office.
Yes.
Huge true story about many sub postmasters were sent to jail because there was a glitch in the postal system in the auditing.
Yeah.
Which had nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
Some of them died, some of them went to jail for no reason.
Which is a shocking story, actually, isn't it?
Over 15 years they've been trying to clear their name.
Yeah.
So it's taken a TV program.
Yeah, 4-part thing, right?
To get the government to review it and dispel all the charges.
I feel quite strongly for it. I should watch it because my dad retired as the head of the Postal Service.
That is what I found quite strange, that your dad was the head of the Indian Postal Service, Postmaster General.
Yeah.
And my great-grandfather, who I used to visit when I was in my boarding school because he used to live there, was the same post. He was the first Indian pre-independence Postmaster General.
Of India.
What did your father retire as? You got a very fancy title after that, didn't you? Secretary to the government?
Secretary to the Government of India. Secretary Department of Post to the Government of India. So, yeah, you're right. Everybody was talking about it. And even though you might think it's,
I mean, it's a TV drama that has actually made a change.
Yeah.
The government is looking into it. Rishi Sunak has said we will be investigating it and drop more charges.
But how tragic it is, how sad it is to see how many people change their lives, as you're saying.
There was also a little thing that, most of these postmasters, sub-postmasters as they call, were Asian, A huge percentage.
So are you saying that there's a little
element of blatant racism? No.
Slant to it as well?
No, not really. But I'm saying there was a huge proportion of them. Obviously there were more English people, but proportionately.
But in the same way that you would say that there was a perception that corner shops here in this country for the longest time were run by Asians, right?
That's
because they were willing to work hard, open the shop for much later than others did.
Much early in the morning.
Early in the morning and all of that. So, Alan Bates and the Post Office, or whatever it was, a 3-4-part drama. Everyone's been buzzing about that. We're not the Love Island sort, otherwise we'd be talking about Love Island as well, thank heavens. One program that we saw, a little bit off, a sneak peek off.
I was going to say something else before you tell us that. I was going to say that another program here which is doing phenomenally well is a Dutch program which they've transferred into English. It's called The Traitors. It's like a reality.
It's
a reality show.
You mean not one single successful program in the UK is an original idea, in the same way that Big Brother was again from Netherlands, Endemol or whatever, right?
Well, that was also Dutch.
So was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
No,
Is
that's from here.
Is it from here?
That's Chris
Evans.
Chris Tarrant.
Chris Tarrant. Okay. But did he start it?
Yeah, it used to be it was a little thing he did on the radio, on Capital Radio.
Okay. So you're saying that Traitors, I know many people
I used to hear Capital Radio in those days with Chris Tarrant, and used to have a little thing.
I believe you. You look old enough to be able to remember him on radio.
Where you'd ask a question, you had 4 options. And that's basically became the TV show.
So you're saying that Traitors is something everybody's watching. What is it? You have to betray, I'm guessing, to be able to win the big prize.
Yeah.
But are they in a Big Brother-like scenario? Where are they?
In some wonderful surrounding.
All right, okay.
I haven't actually watched it, but it's done phenomenally well. And they've also brought back an old TV show from the 80s, which is just played out last week, I think, or this week. And it's also done very well, Gladiators.
Okay.
Phenomenal program in the 80s. Where you had to,
is it about physical strength?
Yeah, you had to wit yourself against these guys. And these men and women who had to defend the place, and you had to get through them.
Okay.
Your sporting prowess, as they say.
I was talking about Mumbai Saga, whatever that is called, Streets of Gold, Mumbai.
Yeah.
Which is a 3 or 4 episode thing. We saw one episode. 3 episodes. We saw one.
I think all 3 have come out now.
Didn't do much for me. It is about celebrating the super rich, I know.
No.
Many people who you know personally because you've been to their fashion shows and reviewed their shows.
I don't know. I mean, I think they were playing for the camera.
Ridiculously over the top.
Trying to be too much over the top.
Yeah, and trying to infuse shock value where there was none needed.
Yeah, and it was trying maybe a bit too hard to copy Dubai Bling. Which was very successful.
Yeah.
And they thought, let's do another one.
It didn't fascinate me so much only because 80% of the people we saw, we have either met or worked with or we know, right? From Shobha De to Amir Khan to Ira Dubey and Lilith Dubey to Abu Sandeep. These are all the main
That was
characters.
all in the first episode, right?
All in the first episode.
We didn't watch the second or third.
God knows we've seen them enough and read enough about them or worked with them or whatever. And I'm not taking anything away from them. They're all people who are established in their field, and they've done
and very talented.
Very talented. They've done exceedingly well. But in this context, it was just putting too many mega rich people all under one roof.
They interviewed a couple of billionaires,
showing the eccentricities of somebody saying, "I'd much rather take a private jet to work, which only is a 4-minute ride."
They let Dubey's daughter some Bollywood
star, which is not really right. I'm sure she's done the odd Bollywood film here and there, but she is, I believe, a massively popular theatre star, Ira Dubey. So yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. That I haven't seen Dubai Bling either, so I don't know what to compare it to. But episode 1 did absolutely nothing for me. But I suppose it can be quite fascinating for those who are not Indians or are looking at India from...
Well, I don't really think Mumbai is like that, because it's meant to show what Mumbai is like. No, or rather the rich half of
the
Mumbai.
Rich, yeah, absolutely. The affluent in Mumbai. It's by no means is it an account of an average Mumbaikar who's busy hanging out of trains, eating vada pav, watching Sachin Tendulkar, and generally, trying to, as they say, make a living and make their dreams come true. But it is a city that knows how to hustle, as they say, because they say that so many people... The statistic is quite impressive.
The streets are paved with gold. That's the place to go for their dreams.
That even if you go to bed at night not having realized a single dream, you would still think twice before admitting defeat and moving away from Mumbai, because every new morning brings a new ray of hope. But so in that sense, I suppose...
That you can say for any city, can't you?
No, but they say that Mumbai is... You know what it is? I'm sure it is the fact that because it is the home of showbiz, and showbiz is one of those things where success can really take you from...
Nobody to somebody.
From a
zero to hero.
1 BHK in Kandivali West to a seafront apartment in Juhu in a matter of months.
I think I'm going to say
Malabar Hills in a matter of months, So probably that is why everybody lives in hope that if we were to struggle and if we were to make it, we'd much rather make it in Mumbai.
I know the Delhi scene.
Yeah.
And there are some fabulously rich people there in the farmhouses.
Yeah.
But I think Mumbai has more billionaires than any other city.
And then they have these really sweet stories where Mukesh Ambani's house, Antilla, and they were talking to this girl who lives in the shadow of Antilla, but she is obviously not in a slum, but nowhere near. So then she says that, I may be his neighbor, but he's actually looking down on me or whatever. So anyway, it is what it is. Perhaps it would be interesting to watch all 3 episodes and kind of then
critique it. This year, what are we doing this year? Are we doing critiquing? Are we doing talking about things we've ate? Are we doing?
I think we're doing a mix of everything.
Are we doing resolutions?
No, because all of those things form a part of our lives, form a part of our week. So it has to be a bit of everything. You can't just say, I'm only going to critique, I'm only going to talk about themes, I'm only going to talk about food. No, we'll do whatever takes our fancy. That's how the podcast has always been. It is about the important things that we thought about, posted about, read about, spoke about in the 2 weeks, sometimes 3, between podcasts. I think it's time for us to now wrap up and say bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, like as promptly as that?
No. Before I say bye-bye, are you going to tell everyone how to get in touch with us?
Yes, I'm sure by now you've worked it out. If you haven't, then I'm sure you can Google and work it out. We're on social media. Haven't you heard any of these cool podcasters what they say? Joanna Lumley and the Maestro. Get your podcast, get the next episode from wherever you get your podcasts. That's what you say, okay? You're not supposed to say, please go and follow us on Instagram. Please can you go to Podbean? Please look at Acast, I've even forgotten Apple Podcasts, so wherever we are, Google Podcasts, we're everywhere. Wherever you get your podcast, just type in Shabby and Man.
From your preferred platforms.
Podcast provider.
Till next time.
Bye-bye then.
Bye-bye.